Okay, I've been recently rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine with my mother, and in season 2, there was a riddle. I tried to solve on my own and got close, but ended up having to look up various answers online, and since this come up again, I've decided to make a little video about it to share the knowledge I've gained. So here is the riddle.
When I was a detective, my old CO Jim Martins used to keep us on our toes by having us solve brain teasers. I thought maybe you'd like to try one?
Don't just tease my brain, Captain. Really go to town on it.
Yeah, bring it on, sir. I love puzzles. They're like power squats for your mind.
Good. Here's the problem. There are 12 men on an island. 11 weigh exactly the same amount, but one of them is slightly lighter or heavier. You must figure out which. The island has no scales, but there is a seesaw. The exciting catch? You can only use it 3 times.
That sounds super exciting. Is this thing mandatory?
Oh, I hope so. Please say yes.
Okay, so there is an island with 12 men on it. 11 of them weigh exactly the same, but one of them is either slightly heavier or slightly lighter than the others. Kind of feels a lot like stormtrooper clones, and you're trying to figure out who the imposter is, because they're the only one not a clone. And the only way that Darth Vader will let you figure out who the imposter is with a seesaw. But if it takes more than 3 tries, he's gonna force choke you to death. So, how are you gonna solve this?
Stop the clock. We're here and we have the solution. First, you weigh 6 versus 6.
Wrong. That'll never work. You just wasted your time and mine.
So first, I'd like to go over why 6 and 6 will not work. You know that one of these 12, don't know who, but one of them is heavier or lighter than the other. You already know that. And so dividing exactly in half, it's not going to be level, because you know one side's going to flip-flop. And if it flip-flops this way, guess what? You learn nothing. Because if they're lighter, then it still can be one of these. And if they're heavier, it can be one of these. And you don't know if they're lighter or heavier, so you didn't learn anything and you just wasted one of your attempts with the teeter-totter. So yeah, I kind of agree with Captain Holt. Wasted everyone's time with that. So to start solving this puzzle, I've divided the 12 people up into 3 groups of 4. A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, W, X, Y, and Z, just to help differentiate them a little bit while going through this. So for the first measuring, to go through the simple way first, we have A, B, C, D on one side, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the other side. Assuming that they actually balance it out, again, for the easy basic, that means that's the fatter, skinny guy is in the third group, not measured, which is W, X, Y, Z. So it's one of these 4. Then for the next measure, we take 2 of them. I went with WX and replaced it with one of the ones that we already know. And if this is also equal, we know it's the other 2, Y or Z. Or if this slants either direction, whether it's like that, so that WX is lighter, or if WX is heavier, then we know that's WX. Either way, we get down to 2. With YZ, we just take one of them and put it with the ones we know are level. So we have Y. If it tilts, we know it's Y. If it doesn't tilt and it stays level, we know it's Z. And so that's how we solve if there's any 2 left, whether it's WX or YZ. We just test one, and if it's not that one, it's the other one. But that is only if the very first one is level. If it's crooked, things get much more complicated, because instead of having 4 possible ones, like WXYZ, we have all 8, A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4, because we don't know if he's lighter, which would be one of these 4, or heavier, which would be one of these 4. But which direction this is slanting will come in crucial later. So, tricky part, we do a bit of flipping around. So I replaced 1, 2, and 3 with WXY. So we're replacing 3 with 3 of the 4 that we know are of equal weight. 3 clones, essentially. And then we switch the 4 and the D. And we have 3 of the original on the same side. So assuming that this is level, we just ruled out A, B, C, 4, and D, because they were originally up here on slanted, which means that the one that was making it crooked was one of these 3, which was 1, 2, and 3. So we know it's 1, 2, or 3. So instead of just having 2 at the end, we have 3 potential people. And this is where the slant becomes important. So we replace 1 on each side, so we have 1 and 2. If it slants the same way as it did at the top, slanting down, and we have the numbers here, so we know that 1, 2, or 3 is heavy. Then we know if this side's heavy, it was 2. If this side's heavy, it was 1. And if they're level, then it's 3. Because we pretty much narrowed it down that it's one of these chunkies. These chunky numbers over here. But what happens if the second teeter-totter is crooked? So let's assume that it's the same crooked as the top. It doesn't matter which crooked side, but it's the same crooked. Then we know that if it's the same crooked, then it has to be the same on the sides. We've replaced all these with WXY, and then we switch the D over. So if there is a heavy one on this side, then it's either the 4 that got moved over, but it's the same, so the heavy didn't go down. And if it's a light D on this side, it didn't go up. So it's not the D, not the 4, not the 1, 2, or 3, which only leaves the A, B, C. As you can tell here, that's all replaced. This was replaced, so it has to be the A, B, C if it's the same slant as the first test. So, just like with the 1, 2, and 3, we do A, B, and C, but this time we're looking for which side's lighter. So if A side's lighter, then we know it's A. If B side's lighter, so it's sloping down, or I guess sloping up if you're going left to right, sloping up to the B, which is lighter, then we know it's B. And if it's level, we know it's C. Lastly, if we have the slant, and the slant changed when we switched things up. We know WXY should make it level, and ABC on this side, if it's any of those, would make it lighter, but now it's heavier on this side, which means either the 4 made it heavier, or we took the light D from this side and moved it over here. So it's either the 4 or the D. So with the D4 possible, I put A, B, C, D, and 1, 2, 3. We can't have the 4 because we're testing out of 2, just like we did here with the simple ones, with the Y and the Z. And so if the D goes up, then we know the D is lighter, and it's the D. If it stays level, then we know it's the 4 that we didn't test. And that's how you can test, find out which one is the odd clone out, or imposter clone. Now, to figure out how I came up with this little algorithm, or how you could come up with this algorithm, you know you need to test 8, because that's how many possible after you eliminated the 4 WXYZ. But you know you can't end up with 4 down here at the bottom section, because you can only like divide it by 2. Otherwise you get kind of funked up. So 3 is the most you can have at the second stage. And how many does it go into? There's 3, 3, and 2. 3, 6, 7, 8. So you have to have 3 different variables you're testing with. In this case, we're going with level, left down to right, and right down to left as the 3 possible variables. And so to create one variable is okay, we need to change 3 that would make it level, based off of what happened with the first result. So knowing what happened here is crucial. Doesn't really matter if they're heavier or lighter, and it's impossible to know for sure. You do find out with most of the tests, but like if it's 4C, 3Z, then you wouldn't know because you didn't actually get to test them. Yeah. Hope you liked that. Hope it made sense. And that's how you solve who the imposter is. Now, hopefully, Darth Vader won't choke you to death for doing more than 3 tests on the seesaw.
Or given you clairvoyance enough to find the rebels' hidden fort.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.